Hello, welcome back to the channel. It's me, Emmy the Cat Lady, and we're back here in the capital wasteland on what's turning out to be quite a nice day. We've got, blue skies and some fluffy clouds. So we're here at Jury Street Metro Station to pick up with the rest of the sort of hidden radio signal locations in the wasteland here. So we're here at Jury Street Metro Station, which is a common, it's fairly central to this part of the map, so we're really not far, we're just kind of to the west of Vault 101, Springvale, Megaton over there, so it's a common location to visit. And there is a radio signal around here, so it is south of the shops that are here. There is, I don't know who that is that's here, there's raiders and stuff about. I think there's raiders on the roof of that store, but we don't really care too much about them. We care about south of the stores, so using our compass does help. And there is a ruined house and a manhole cover near the mailbox, so we need to find it. I am not sure if my Pip-Boy radio has picked up this signal. Doesn't seem to be. Ah, here we go. So we've got some ruined houses, boarded up houses here. And then there's mailbox with a hockey mask and a cherry bomb in it. And there's manhole cover here. So, this one is kind of an interesting one. For some reason, I'm not picking up the radio signal, so it might be turned off. But if the radio signal's on, it is just one of the Morse codes with the CQ, 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 DE, and then it's Oscar Tango, so OT, K would be what you would hear. And there is a few interesting bits and pieces. So we come into this kind of drainage chamber, so again, your typical kind of sewer locations, and then there's a door around here. And you can see there's some graffiti on the wall. So somebody has been here and, made the place their own. And there's a bunch of random bits and pieces. So you've got paint gun. Here's the radio. Apparently just not picking it up for some reason. But you've got a big book of science, pre-war book if you're selling them to the scribe at the Arlington Library, darts, bunch of other random bits and bobs. There's some purified water, medical brace, some food, all your usual knick-knacks, some of your crafting things, your motorcycle handbrake, gas tank, buff out. But there is something hidden in here, so if you kind of look at the floor here, it kind of looks like it is a trapdoor, and that is correct. So there's a button here which opens that up, and we can go down into another chamber, which is, well, a bit of a horror show, to be honest. We've got some blood splatters, we've got some dead people on mattresses and dead people on hooks, more graffiti, including the nice little mushroom cloud one, some whiskey, some money, and there's a couple of mattresses, and then we've got a couple of skeletons. So we can assume these people were killed fairly recently. These people have been dead for quite some time, so it looks like potentially a woman and a man, but hard to tell just from skeletons and rotten clothes. But it's a safe bet that these people were probably the original people that hid in this location to avoid the bombs, and then they died, and then raiders have come in. Oh crap, that gave me a scare there. I didn't realise there was somebody on the ceiling as well. Okay. Yep, get jump scared by a headless corpse. That's good. Well, it's nearly October, it's nearly spooky season, so that seems quite fitting. But yeah, so these guys were probably the original people that took shelter in here. They maybe lived in one of the houses just outside. But then they died, and the raiders came in and kind of made themselves at home. And you'll see red on the map, so I've turned combat off, but when you come down here and you come back out, there's a raider ambush, so they come to get you for breaking into the home. So we can just, two birds, one stone. I love the Tesla cannon, it is so good. Yeah, and yeah, you get fingers off these guys. Obviously, they're just raiders. You know, so just something to be aware of, that they do spawn and come in once you go into the secret underground chamber. But for some reason, I'm not picking up the radio signal. But it does have a Morse code radio signal. Hi, who are you? Slavers, okay. Well, you're not technically enemies, just not nice people. Right, and then the next one is Signal Papa November, which is another Morse code one. Yeah. So directly west of Megaton, near the Charnel House, which is over there. Just west of that, so we'll put the marker there and I'll head over in that direction. And I'll see you on the other side. So, totally random, but I just found a Robobrain in the wild, which is interesting. Hello. So, yep, sneak peek for Saturday's video. We're talking about the Robobrains and how they were created, which is a horrifying and fascinating story. But yeah, you do just find them kind of in the wild.
Maybe next time you'll introduce yourself.
You do just find them kind of in the wild in Fallout 3 quite a lot, so that's going to be the topic for Saturday's video for robotics experts, so hopefully you're looking forward to that. Okie dokie, so that's us kind of getting to that location. So the Yagwai tunnels are there, so we're just past the Charnel House, or Charnel House, I don't know how you pronounce that, which is this kind of boarded up house that's full of raiders. And they've got some Brahmin, they've got mines everywhere. Oh, there's even a guy up on the cliff. But if we look directly west from there, we can see a radio tower, so that is going to be our target. There's also some friend things and some not friend things nearby. That'd be the rad scorpion that's the enemy, but the mole rats, I've got animal friend on this character, so mole rats are fine, they like me. There we go, so yeah, we've got this radio tower here, which I'm guessing we probably need to turn on to get the signal. That's maybe why I couldn't for the Oscar Tango one. Maybe I forgot that there's somewhere that I need to turn on an antenna, but we do now have a radio signal, which is Papa November. So just like most of the other ones, this one is a Morse code and the designation is PN, Papa November, if you know your phonetic alphabet. And we need to find, well actually we'll put the signal back on. So we need to find the actual drainage chamber that this signal is coming from. It's going to be pretty close by. In here, no. Yeah, so you can hear it kind of fading in and out. There we go, we've lost the signal, so that's obviously not where it is. So it definitely has to be pretty close by to where this tower is. There it is. So yeah, you want to kind of listen for the static fading away, which means that your radio signal's becoming clearer. Then we've got this drainage chamber. Not the most exciting one, but clearly somebody has taken shelter down here because we've got some books and things and lawnmower blades, your motorcycle handbrake, gas tank. So, you know, if you're in the market for making yourself a shish kebab, then you can find what you need here. We've also got Pugilism Illustrated and a pre-war book. And some cans and things. So somebody's obviously come down here to hide from the bombs as usual. And this seems to be the person. So again, just a bunch of random like crafting supplies and things, food, water, blood pack, some cakes, and there's the radio. So yeah, unfortunately this lady did not survive. Must have survived for a little while potentially, but yeah, so not the most exciting one, but it's kind of cool that it's here. And again, if you're on a mission to collect as many skill books as you can, then you'll want to come here. And I say you can pick up some more crafting supplies for the handmade weapons and whatnot as well. So, you know, quite an interesting one. And then next one is a really interesting one. So, not too far from where we are actually. So this one comes from Broadcast Tower KT8. So that's where we want to be going. Leave it. Yeah, so we're kind of north of Little Lamplight and Vault 87. So I will head over in that direction and I'll see you when I get there. Oh. Wait. I think, you know, the controlled death claw? Yeah. I don't know why he didn't fast travel with me before, but he fast travelled to here and then just died. So that happened. Anyway, so yep, Little Lamplight caverns with the fairy lights and the bunting. And then we're just going to head north towards the marker across the wasteland. So I will see you when we get to the tower. Okay, we're almost there, but you can see here just all the fortifications that have been set up. So that kind of location marker there is Vault 87, the main entrance that you can't really access. And then we've got all these spiky things, and I saw these earlier as well. These big metal spikes, and then there's skeletons hanging from it. So likelihood is that that is how they feed the behemoths, because they're so big. So they take humans and put them on big spikes, so that the behemoth can have a snack. So that's lovely. But yeah, you can see the tower here. You can see them usually from a distance, although it's sometimes, you know, in the real distance, hard to tell the difference between trees and radio towers. But as you get close to them, you do spot them. Makes sense. They tend to be high up because, you know, solid ground blocks radio signals to a degree, and that's not what you want for a radio tower. So they do, you know, make sense that they're placed in quite high up locations so that you can, you know, the signal isn't interrupted. Oh, we've got some mutants here. Just don't mind me. Go away. Bye. This is my radio tower now. So here we are, Broadcast Tower KT8. So the super mutants have kind of made themselves at home here until I killed them. Yeah, I'm not sure what that is in the distance there, but you know, we're quite close to where Vault 87 is located. Obviously, coming straight north from Little Lamplight, that makes sense. And this broadcast tower, we can switch it on, and that gives us another radio signal. Sierra Romeo. So again, it's your standard that we've talked about before. It's the Morse code for Sierra Romeo. And the drainage chamber is nearby, down here. There we go. So you can see the manhole cover here. So again, I'll turn the volume up on the radio, so we'll go further away just so you can hear the difference. There's fire in the sky, so there's smoke on the water. Yeah, so that wasn't supposed to happen till after, but never mind. Thanks, you have just entirely spoiled the story I was going to tell here. But yeah, just trying to make a point about the static. So you hear the static, but as you get closer to the source of the signal, the static clears up. And we've got this drainage chamber, so I'll explain what just happened there in a second. But we can go in here. Another one of these drainage chambers. It looks like it's partially collapsed down there. So we've got a wee storage room here, and there's also another secret room down there. So again, lots of your usual cans and motorcycle bits and books and things like that. And there's some food supplies, so pork and beans, cram, sugar bombs. There's 2 terminals here as well, and we'll get back to them in just a second. But yeah, you can see this kind of sewer and everything has started to kind of collapse in on itself, so it's blocked off. But we can have a look at these terminals. So broken terminal is not working, and then this one is gobbledygook. However, eagle-eyed viewers might have spotted there's an encryption key on this desk. So now we can open the hatch that we saw on the floor. This one's quite cool. So there's nothing alive down here, don't worry, but we do have some dead friends. So down here there's 2 dead Chinese remnant spies. So they are ghouls, you can see. Oh, that's better. Yeah, you can see they are ghouls, so that seems to have happened with a lot of the Chinese spies that were in DC at the time of the bombs, is that they did end up ghoulified. And they obviously had a little secret bunker here with radio equipment, obviously potentially communicating with their superiors and whatnot. And this means that you've got a few bits and pieces you can get. Their outfits, there's a Chinese commando hat. There's mini nuke hiding underneath there. Some other, sort of electronics and sensor modules and whatnot. And you've got the Chinese Army Spec Ops training manual, which is obviously the stealth skill book as well. So yeah, just further evidence that, the Chinese kind of had really got quite far into the United States in terms of spies and things like that, which they were nations at war with each other. That's kind of a given, really. And then what's supposed to happen after you leave, but happened before we actually came inside, is that when you leave this chamber, Enclave vertibird flies overhead. It'd be funny if it happened again, wouldn't it? And it's shot down. So the idea is that it gets shot down by one of the super mutants with a missile launcher, but it happened kind of before we went in there instead of after, which kind of ruined it, but never mind. So that's kind of a funny thing that happens here, that the vertibird just gets exploded. But the containers that are in that bunker are actually safe, so it is possible for you to use it as a little kind of storage, like, player housing kind of a thing, if that's what you want to do. But, an interesting one, that instead of people sheltering from the bombs, these were obviously spies that were here doing something as part of the kind of war effort against the United States, and then they got ghoulified, and they obviously lived for a while, but died of something. Don't really know exactly what killed them. But yeah, right, I'm going to turn that radio signal off. But Yeah, so the thing is, when you're following these signals, it's the static. Once the static goes away, you know you've got to be pretty close to the location you're looking for, the entrance. And then if you're really struggling, you might be able to find it on your local map as well. Obviously, it shows any kind of loading zone doors that are kind of nearby. Right, so next one is, I think, not hugely far away from where we are. So we are near Jocko's Pop and Gas, which I kind of know where that is, and the power station. Yes. Oh look, there's a scenic overlook over there. So this is Jocko's Pop and Gas. You probably would stumble across this potentially, depending on where you're going, if you're heading for Girder Shade or towards Smith Casey's garage, which obviously is a plot location. So it's like a little, you know, sort of rest stop, fuel station. I would call it service station. That's kind of, you know, the term that we would use for it. And then the radio tower is right here, so you can see it quite easily. So we're going to head up and see what's what. There we go. So again, just like before, we flip the switch. And again, just like the other ones, we've got the Morse code with the designation Sierra Victor, so SV, and we need to find the entrance. There's also an enemy of some kind here, so who is it? They can't attack me because I've turned combat off, but it does mean that I can't really use fast travel. Ah, Centribot. Yeah. Centribot's no match for the Tesla cannon. And here we go. So static is going away, and we found the drainage chamber. So be careful when you go inside here, because somebody has set some traps. So we've got some pressure plates, which we can disarm. And I think these trigger, is it rigged shotguns or something they trigger? Yeah. So yeah, there's 2 rigged shotguns at the entrance. We've got this kind of barricade that you can knock over. And that happens. So yeah, that triggers a grenade bouquet, which I knew was there, and still, and then yeah, there's some mines down there. I'm just gonna deal with that. Yeah, so yeah, you can see the rig terminal, so it's got the little kind of antenna on it. So you need the explosive skill of 45. There's 2 rooms here, or 2 entrances. It might be, yeah, same room. Railway spikes. So you do have workbench in here with the bottle cap mine. And some other bits and bobs, a bunch of crafting materials and explosives. So whoever was this person was that was hiding out down here was definitely a fan of the explosives. You know, fair enough. I've got some mines. There's the radio. that turns off the signal. And on this table, again, you know, all your various bits and pieces for crafting, and duck and cover, which is your explosive skill book there. There's also a very, very tiny, so this is the smallest broken generator in the game, so it's tiny, desktop sized. And you know, some fusion cells, microfusion cells. So given the position of this body and the chair falling over and the exploded tiny generator and exploded terminal and the microfusion cells, you can piece together the fact that this guy probably was trying to do something with this and it literally blew up in his face and killed him. That, you know, and that, I think that's the thing when you kind of go into these places, taking a look at what's happening, you know, the position of where they've placed objects and things like that, and you can piece together some things that have happened. So you know, this is very obvious that this has exploded. There's, you know, there's soot around it and everything, and he's lying there nearby, so he's obviously been experimenting with something and it's literally blown up in his face. That's definitely what's happened there. So, you know, it's one of these things, even if you know what you're doing when it comes to explosives, see, there's still risks involved. You know, but there's some good stuff in here. You've got some ammo boxes, I say various bits and pieces. There's an assault rifle, so good little spot for some loot, but just beware of all the explosives, because this guy has, apparently there's a electrified toilet trap somewhere, but I don't actually see where that was. But yeah, you've got this kind of barricade that you might see that and think, oh no, I can't get through there, but you can. There you go. But yeah, the wiki says something about an faulty electric toilet trap, but I don't really see that anywhere. But yeah, so obviously that guy was probably doing quite well until he exploded himself. So duck and cover is definitely advice that he maybe should have taken, but never mind. The book's ours now. Okie dokie. And then this one, the next one, which is the last one, is actually on the complete other side of the map from where we are. So we're down here, and you can kind of see Tenpenny Tower in the distance, if I can get up the cliff. Ugh. Guess not. Yeah, you can see Tenpenny Tower in the distance, and there's the moon. Yeah. But the next one is way over here, so very much near Canterbury Commons and the Robot Repair Centre. So we're going to head over there. Okay, so it is located southwest of the Robot Repair Centre and north of the Corvega factory, so it's going to be like somewhere in this general direction. A cup of joe. That sounds good. I do like me some coffee, I have to say. Okay, that's looking suspiciously like a radio tower to me. Oh, hello, Enclave. Goodbye. What's in the cage? You got a death claw in there. to shoot. Right. Oh, this is the... Oh, yes. I remember. Experimental row ID. So this was a thing... it's not going to be a good demonstration now that I've killed all the turrets, but this is an interesting little Enclave camp. Totally off topic, but you know what? While we're here, and I've remembered that this thing exists. Okay. Easy peasy. So, read first. So, been chosen by our great president to participate in this camp RHO, row experiment to newest technology chip. RHO chip, which sends out a short range signal that will allow you to freely wander this and only this camp under the protection of the provided armaments. So don't remove this card for any reason, as the defence systems will only recognise the person in possession of the RHO chip. So yeah, basically this was an experiment where they would give you a chip that would protect you from, that would basically make the turret see you as a friend, but it only works in this camp. And I can't demonstrate it because I killed all the turrets, but anyway. So yeah, that's an interesting little one. Just interesting to see some of the random things that the Enclave were kind of getting up to in the wasteland. You know, once they arrive, there's all sorts of things, like you find them at the Deathclaw Sanctuary as well. But here is our radio tower. So this one, it's not a marked location, but we're, yeah, kind of between the Robot Repair Centre, Corvega Factory, and also near Vault 108. So we'll turn this one on. And this is the Yankee Bravo signal. So this is YB is the call sign. But it's not Morse code this time. It's far less pleasant sounding than some beeps. So looking in the west, heading in the westerly direction to find the, so it's a sewer grate we're looking for rather than like a manhole cover. I see it, there we go. And you can hear the static is clearing up, and we're just hearing some very creepy gurgly breathing. Also rads. So if you're sensible, you can probably take a good guess. Well, I just spoiled it there at what we're finding in here. So it's labour breathing and growling. It's these guys. We've got some ghouls, we've got a glowing one, we've got a roamer. Apparently broadcasting live because they are sitting right in front of the radio. The ghouls don't mind me actually because I must be wearing the ghoul mask. I know I've got it on this character, but I couldn't remember. Yeah. So if you've got the ghoul mask, then you're totally safe coming in here. So we've got some ghouls. There's also a skeleton. Some food supplies. The usual kind of stuff. Food supplies, medical supplies. And if you don't mind, we've got a Grognak, the Barbarian. And you can turn the signal off and get rid of the creepy noises. Interestingly though, it's possible that the breathing noises of the ghouls is actually a recording, because if you kill the ghouls, the radio signal continues. So it keeps going. So it might be that they've somehow accidentally recorded it and now it just continues to broadcast it until you come in and turn it off. But you've got a whole bunch of your usual crafting materials, empty cans, food supplies, all that kind of stuff. But there's a whole other chamber here, so you know, we come back out here and we've got rads, and then there's a little kind of cave here with some more ghouls and some lights. So this is something somebody's obviously, you know, been down here to hook up these floodlights and things. And we've got some more ghoul friends, so I think this character's quite a high level, so you are going to start to see, 21, so we're past the base game's level cap, so level cap's 30 with broken steel, 20 without. So we've got 2 glowing ones and then a roamer, and a big pile of radioactive waste barrels, which would explain the ghouls. So, and we've got the green floaty stuff as well. Radioactive dust, I guess. I'm not really sure what that's supposed to be. But we've got all this radioactive material here. And we know that, both immediate exposure and long-term exposure to rads can create ghouls and create feral ghouls. So these ghouls were probably the people that took shelter in here when the bombs fell. We only have one skeleton. But, again, some people don't become ghouls when they're irradiated. But these guys obviously did, and now they just live here. And you can kill them, but if you've got the ghoul mask, they're not hurting anybody now. We can just live and let live if we really, really want to. But that's the last of the kind of hidden radio signals in the Fallout 3 Wasteland. There are some to be found in Fallout 4 as well, which are also very interesting to my mind. However, as this is the last day of September, 1st of October tomorrow, which means it's spooky season, and I love spooky season. Halloween is my favourite time of year, my favourite holiday, it always has been, and I do love me some spooky stuff. So the plan for October for the hidden locations in Fallout is that I want to showcase some of the kind of creepy and spooky stuff, because while the Fallout games aren't strictly horror games, being a post-apocalyptic sci-fi kind of game does lend itself to some creepy kind of horror elements and things, and I want to talk about some of the less well-known ones. I mean, I think most people know the deal with, Dunwich and the Dunwich building in Fallout 3 and Dunwich borers in Fallout 4 and the whole, Ugwald Toth thing, and it's all kind of related to, sort of Lovecraftian stuff. I think a lot of people know about that, but there's some other things that are maybe less well known in the games that give off that same kind of spooky, creepy vibe. So I'm going to be looking into putting some of them together for the hidden locations in Fallout for the month of October, because spooky season is fun, and I think that will be very, very interesting. So if you do know of any places that people don't really seem to talk about that you'd like to see me cover, do let me know in the comments, or put a post on the community section, and let me know if there's any kind of specific locations. I say I'm definitely looking for something, that gives you proper kind of creepy, spooky vibes, that kind of thing, and not just, terrifying enemies. But if you know of any places like that, let me know in the comments. I'd be happy to check them out and potentially include them in one of the videos. And then on Saturday this week, we're talking about the RoboBrains. I've been looking forward to getting into this one because it's again a equally horrifying and fascinating kind of story, the RoboBrains and how they were created and everything. It's definitely gives the same kind of horror vibes really when you get into the details of how that all came about and how they were made. So I think that would be quite a fitting one as well. So hopefully you're looking forward to that on Saturday. And I haven't quite settled on what this month's video essay topic is going to be. I've got a few ideas kind of rattling around that I want to kind of think about, so I'm going to get working on that, and I will let you guys know once I've picked the topic, and that should be ready to go by the end of the month. So hopefully you'll come back for that. I hope you enjoyed this video. Definitely, I think Fallout 3 deserves a chance where you just get out and explore the wasteland, and to hell with Project Purity, just ignore all that stuff and just get out there and explore, because you never know what you're going to find. And you can definitely find some interesting little kind of hidden stories and things dotted about the wasteland. So definitely recommended, because I'm having a lot of fun with it. So hopefully you are too, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.